things with this slide, because that puts it right in front of them, you know, and it gives you a chance to, okay, here we go, you know, I'm ready. We didn't know if we were going to have them separated like that, or if we're going to put them all in line, and then that would be the thing that tells you it's over with, you know. We're going to talk here about the cold front effect with these fish. And we see various break lines. We're going to give you a weed line, we'll give you a rock pile, we'll give you an area of stumps, give you a nice deep break line at about 20 feet, and give you a drop off at 35 feet. And we're going to give you the deepest part of deepest water in the area at about 60 feet. Right now, this is the first day after the cold front. Remember, we're talking to people right now who aren't in a basic seminar. We're talking to students now who have had some spoon plugging experience, all right? This is what happens if you're fishing on the first day after the cold front. The majority of the fish are down there in the deepest water in the area, about 60 feet. There's a few of the smaller fish up at the drop-off on 35 feet. There's some even smaller fish up around the 20-foot break line. And the rest of the structure is pretty much void of fish. It's a very bright light condition, not a cloud in the sky, and things aren't going to get a whole lot better. Now, the second day after the cold front doesn't necessarily mean that everything is over with. It depends on the weather and the water conditions. What happened? Did anything change? Well, obviously, not too much change here. It got a little bit better. But still, the school is down there around 60 feet. They might have moved to 55 feet. They might have moved 5 feet. There's a few more fish at the 35-foot drop-off, and the smaller fish might have come up, maybe moved around a little bit and came around that stump area at about 15 feet. The third day after the cold front, you might get a little activity, and it would bring that, once the fish got active, it would bring that school back to the sanctuary area around 35 feet, that drop-off. There'd be a little bit of a movement where some fish would move up to the break line at about 20 feet, and they would be ready to be caught. The smaller fish, meanwhile, because conditions are continuing to improve a little bit, they're up around 10 feet up by the rock pile. There'll be a few fish around, still no fish in the shallows, not even small ones. Fourth day after the cold front, things are beginning to look pretty good. We get a pretty good movement by the big school of fish, the mass of the big fish. They move to the 20-foot break line. That's pretty good movement. Fourth day in the morning after the cold front. Conditions haven't improved a whole lot. Some of the smaller fish moved up to that stump area at 15 feet. The littler guys are getting pushed into the weeds now. They've passed the rock pile. They're in about 8 feet of water. And there's some stinkers around that shallow weed line at about 7 feet. In the afternoon, things must begin to haze up, because what happens in the late afternoon movement, p.m., okay, on the fourth day, we see another movement by the school, and this time they come all the way up to the stump area at 15 feet. A couple of big fish have moved as shallow as the rock pile at 10 feet, along with some smaller ones. Now the little fish are being pushed to the weeds. As we said before, they're not compatible with that school of big fish, and they've moved all the way to the weed line. This is in the evening, in the p.m., the fourth day after the front. Conditions continue to improve and get better, or remain steady. The word steady, that's important. Steady, you know what I mean? Nothing changed. The AM movement goes to the same place. It brings a school of big fish up to 15 feet. Great movement. And some big fish and a host of stinkers up there around a 10-foot rock pile. And the small fish again right up to the weed line. In the evening, if conditions really get better and you're on the front side of a low pressure system that's going to move through perhaps the next day, that whole school of fish moves up to that rock pile at 10 feet. And this is the movement that you may never see in your whole life, but you should know about it. And some big fish move up to the weed line, and the little fish move up into the grass. And this is about as good as it gets right here. The school is moved. And again, point out that conditions are excellent, and watercolor's pretty good too. for this to happen. You have to have pretty good watercolor, and the conditions got to be excellent for this to happen. And then you can back up and say, this is a great movement right here. They're really ready to be caught right there. They're really in position to make a good catch. And when you get this, consider yourself being out there the right day or at the right time of day. Okay? The sixth day, obviously it really improved. The sixth day, they're really flying. They're up there, you know, at that rock pile, the movement extended there. And even more big fish are beginning to scatter shallower at about 8 feet, with a couple of them going all the way to the grass line. And again, this is a great movement. Conditions are excellent, and the watercolor's got to be pretty good. The seventh day, guess what happens? The cold front comes through. The fish have dropped to the bottom of the channel. They've gone all the way down. The smaller fish have backed up to the 20-foot break line. There's nothing on the weed line, nothing on the rock pile, nothing on the stump. When the fish become, there'll be no activity, there'll be no migration. A movement period might not even occur. You may catch some small fish if you work real hard at the 20-foot break line. This is a great bunch of slides, okay? And that just about wraps it up. Just a minute. I'll click her around.